What up, roomies? Tonight's guest is someone helping people fix one of the biggest areas most couples struggle to talk about: intimacy, connection, and communication. Sandy O'Shea is a holistic sex and intimacy coach, author, and speaker who helps individuals and couples reignite passion, balance hormones, and reconnect with their bodies and the desires in bed, in practical ways as well. Through her work, she's helping people move from frustration and silence to confidence, clarity, and the deeper connections. Neighbors, welcome Sandy. What's up, Sandy? What's going on,
Hey
girl?
everybody. um, this is going to be a fun conversation.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing.
it's it's something I've been really passionate about. Pardon the pun. Um, for quite a while, and it's been an evolution over the last few years. It's
I
been
got that.
really it's been interesting.
So how did you get into like the role of like helping people with their sex lives and like reconnecting and gaining that intimacy back?
Um, to put it succinctly, because I do tend to, yeah, I'm a little chatty.
Go.
Um,
This is the perfect place for that.
oh,
That's what
perfect,
we're here
perfect.
for. Come on.
All right. So back in, I guess it was 2011,
Yeah.
I had been working in a corporate environment for, I don't know, 30 years. And I was so sick and tired of what I was doing. And I had connected with he was an RMT who was
Yeah.
also a health and life coach. And he helped me make some really massive changes in my life. And it made me realize that I really did want to get back to my roots, which back when I was, I don't know, 22, I had wanted to open up a full service gym that included um, uh, chiropractors and naturopaths and nutritionists and all this kind of thing, as well as a gym.
Yeah.
Well, that was out of the question. So, but that passion to help to reignite it for helping people instead of just working in a corporate environment. And so I went back to school.
Uh-huh.
And I went back to school to become a holistic nutritionist.
Okay, cool. And how did you choose like a nutritionist out of like everything else? Because you could have been a chiropractor, could have been a
Part of it was on it, to be honest, part of it was money, part of it was time. I was 46, I think, when I went back
mm,
to school. And I don't remember exactly what all the reasons were because it was a few years ago. Um, but I knew that I wanted to help people and I knew how much changing my nutrition had helped me. So that's kind of where I went. So 2 years of intense schooling. And I came out and all of our teachers had said, find a niche. And I'm like, I don't want to find a niche. Because to me, finding a niche meant you're doing the same thing over and over and over.
yeah.
Well, I had done that for 30 odd years. So I didn't want any part of that. Well, after I graduated my second client, I kind of went, okay, I got to find a niche. Because it was, well, because nutrition is huge.
No,
It's
I believe it.
massive. And did you know that nutrition is science based?
Of course. As
That was not something that hit my radar. Stupidly enough, right? Like crazy enough, right? So when I was looking at becoming a nutritionist, I don't know why I did not think in terms of science. I thought in terms of nutrition. So I get into school and it's like, oh my God, biology,
yeah, chemistry.
anatomy. Oh my Lord. Anyway, so I thought about quitting for just that long. And I'm like, no, I am stubborn as an ox sometimes. And it's like when I make up my mind to do something, I'm going to do it regardless.
Yeah, you're gonna get it done.
Yep. So, and I'm an Aquarius,
Ooh,
which, yeah, tell me about
yeah,
it.
yeah. I have a lot of Aquarius women in my life, so I know how that is. Yeah.
Yep. And I describe myself as a crystal wearing, card reading, intuitive Aquarius.
All right.
and I'm a February Aquarius, so we're a little softer than the January ones, but it's interesting. So I stuck with school and I went through, and when I decided to look for a niche, I'm like, okay, what is it that I really want to do? Well, everybody wanted to lose weight. Well, that's
Yeah.
been one of my struggles for most of my life. And I didn't want to go down that route because, quite frankly, it bored me. But when I was in my late 30s, I had had some major issues with hormones.
Uh-huh.
Caused a lot of problems in my marriage. I had no interest in sex. Orgasms were good, but sex, nah, I just
Mm.
couldn't be bothered. There's this wonderful little thing called a vibrator.
Yeah. The
And
pocket rocket.
boom, 5 minutes, I'm done. I'm like, I'm
You
good.
gotta go.
Just let's do it, right? It's all about getting the relief from stress and everything. But
Yeah.
okay, so anyway, so I started off with hormones and then quickly niched to sex hormones.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but nobody's talking about sex. Like, very few people. Like, when I was in my 20s, 30s, I think I'm dating myself here really bad.
Yeah.
There was a woman up in in Toronto.
Nah,
Uh,
but
well, she's Canadian, Sue Johansson,
yeah.
and it was Sex with Sue. And she had a radio show, she had a TV show, and most people who kind of grew up somewhere in that area of the kind of late 80s, 90s, I think it was, that everybody had heard of Sue Johansson. Like,
Yeah.
she was one of our homegrown heroes. And back in those, and she was so matter of fact and very, like, she talked about stuff that nobody talked about. Like, she was
Yeah.
so far ahead of her time.
Shoot.
Sue Johansson. She just died in 2025 and she was 98 years old.
Mm. She was a little freak.
Probably. She always came across as more of a motherly, grandmotherly kind of thing
Those are
person, but
the ones that trick you.
exactly, it's the quiet ones, man. You gotta
The
watch out for
quiet
those.
ones that be wild.
Yeah. So I started kind of going down that route, and then it just kind of it just kind of evolved. And then I was doing hormones and sex, and then it turned into sex and hormones, and then it was mostly sex. And it was it was really recently
Yeah.
um, that I kind of went, now I know who I need to speak to. Now I know who I want to work with. And I actually, it was coming back full circle because now um, I go under the name of From Roommates to Lovers and doing pretty much the same thing, but it's really focusing on helping couples reconnect because there's so many people who, and from different age brackets, like it's not just the old folks, it's even a lot of the younger folks. They're really struggling because you've got, especially if they've got kids. So you've got kids, you got the jobs, you got the home, you got family, and there's all of these commitments. And then, of course, people put their kids in like 5 different activities after school and they're running around like crazy. And I'm like, but why? Right? Whatever happened to family time? Whatever happened to, being connected with your family? And of course, couples, what ends up happening is they're so busy doing other stuff that they forget to take the time
To do each other.
to, yeah. And it's like, and one of the common things that I hear for people who have kids or parents living with them, well, there's other people in the house. Well, so what? I mean,
Well,
like, I understand that it's a little challenging, but I mean, I lived with my parents when I was married. We were in the basement, their bedrooms were right above us.
yeah.
You
The
pick and
work,
choose your times.
you gotta get that work in though.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, stuff a pillow in your mouth if you're loud. It's like, it's just, there are ways of working around things. And, with this whole thing of co parenting and having kids coming and going in and out of their room, the parents' room, that's just something that I personally have, I do not agree with whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's, no, that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people are very much for it. A lot of people are very much against it. Um, but the challenge is that it's like, if the kids can come and go into your room anytime and there's no restriction, then what happens to your relationship?
That is
And
true.
I remember years and years ago, my now ex, uh, he and I were in the Amway business long time ago. And we had been at this conference, and I will never forget this couple. And they were saying that first, so kind of the order of your relationship is, God or spirit, what if you believe in a
Yeah.
higher power, yourself, your spouse, and then everybody, your kids, and then everyone else. But your spouse has to come before the kids, because in 17, 20, 25 years, when the kids are gone, you're going to be still with this person that you've been with for so many years,
Yeah.
but you've grown apart. This isn't always. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people who do this successfully. But what happens when you've grown apart? You don't know that person anymore because you didn't take the time to keep nurturing your relationship with your partner.
Yeah. And what a lot of people don't realize is that even though you're with somebody, they're not done growing, they're not done learning.
No.
And at the end of the day, both of you are still individuals. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Yep.
So at the end of the day, you have to be able to, still be able to connect and, I don't want to say check, but see where that other person is, see where
Yeah.
you are, see what the vibe is,
Yep.
and make sure that you guys are constantly working at it. Like
Yep.
some advice my dad gave me was like, "Yo, if you're gonna get married or be in a relationship, like it's work. It's not like, all right, you're here now, that's it. No, it's
Mm-mm.
work because you still have to learn that person. People
Smart.
change, their interests change, and all that.
100%. I mean, I'm nowhere near the person I was when I got married. And I mean, we were married together almost 28 years, married for just shy of 23. And, we worked at it. We worked at it a lot. And but the problem was is that we changed, and we weren't going along the same path anymore. I got
Mhm.
into entrepreneurship. He was very much employee mindset, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just we were no longer copacetic.
Yeah,
So it was probably the easiest, most amicable divorce ever. We're still friends.
yeah. No, I get that.
It's like we always had, and everybody in our both sides of our family, except for my parents, and they should have been divorced many, many years before they died. But every single person in both of our sides of our family are divorced, and now we are too. I thought we were going to make it, but yeah, that's life.
Mhm.
And I don't believe in staying stuck in a situation, regardless of what the situation is, whether it's a job or relationship, whatever. If it isn't working for you, if you're miserable,
You gotta keep it pushing.
like, why? You work together, or if you just find that you are just so different from each other and you're not willing to do the work that it takes, because it takes a lot of work when you're in two different places. It
Yeah,
takes a ton of work to make a relationship work if you're going in different directions. So we just decided to go in different directions,
yeah. I feel that.
you know
No, it
and
happens. It
yep,
happens. You
yep.
know what I mean? At least I came to the mature decision, and it wasn't like a crazy, you know, situation. You know what I mean? It was amicable and
Yeah,
peaceful.
We both said that we would not let things get to the point where there was resentment.
Yeah.
I don't believe in regrets. I believe that everything happens for a reason. And once something is done, you can't go back and redo it. There's no second chances of to redo. You can go from where you
Yeah.
are, but you can't go back.
Yeah.
So why regret what's happened? That's just my personal philosophy. Um, and there was something else I was going to say, and uh, senior moment.
You good. You good.
But
So
no, it's just you. It takes effort every single day, and I've heard this so much, and I fully believe it. It's like you have to choose each other every day.
yeah. No, that's absolute. That's a big fact.
Yeah,
That is a big fact. You have to be able to choose your partner every single day and
yeah,
know that it's gonna be work. Some days are gonna be easier than others, and
100%.
but you still got to remember that you're you and that person's them, and there's
Yep,
gonna be compromise. Some battles you're gonna have to just say, okay, you got this, and keep it
yep,
pushing.
100%.
Yeah,
And that's what makes life interesting.
it is.
If we were all if we were with somebody who was just like us, well, what's the point?
No, sure. There wouldn't be no spice. There wouldn't be no
No.
variety.
And that is one of the things that is so important is to keep it interesting. It's
Mhm.
like change location, change position, change time of day. Like, don't get stuck in a rut.
And do you see that a lot of people like get stuck or like sex and intimacy and being like connected with the partner becomes like a chore versus
Yep.
like something pleasurable.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot to this,
Yeah.
but in summary, it's sometimes it's the well, if I'm a mother now, and sometimes it affects the way the man looks at the woman.
Mm.
Sometimes it affects how the woman looks at herself. And it's like her main role because becomes a mother as opposed to a woman.
Mm.
And
No, no.
women, people are they're man and woman before they are mother and father. And that's something that's hard to do. Now, I don't have kids, so we opted not to.
Yeah,
Um, but and it's tough, but just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's not worth it and not
that's true.
necessary,
No,
right? Like
I completely get that. Some of the hardest things in life are the things that are most worthwhile. You know what I mean?
exactly, exactly. Nobody said this was going to be easy. Just worth it,
It's worth it though.
right?
Yep.
So
But yep. So like
it
so
is.
like when people are in this rut, right? What's
Hmm.
like some advice that you give them, like how to like stir that pot back up and get like everything like simmering again?
Watch the way you're talking to each other
Okay.
because it's so easy. It's really easy for women to, and this is not dissing men or women or anything. This is just simply
Yeah.
fact. Um, but it's so easy, especially if you're a mom, it's so easy to start talking to your husband as another child. And that
Ooh.
is such a big no no. He has a mother or had a mother at one point. He wants you as his wife. He didn't sign up to have another mother.
Okay.
So be careful. And I really had to catch myself with the guy that I'm seeing now because he's very different from my ex, and he's very much a guy's guy.
Yeah. A man's man.
He's a man's man, and I love it. I totally love it. But sometimes I have to catch what I'm saying because I do the check. Does this sound like his mother? Like, is this more of a mother thing or is this more of a woman thing?
Yeah.
Um, and The other
Mhm.
thing too is that there somebody will say something, and then so person A says something to person B,
Yeah.
and person B takes it the wrong way, but they don't talk about it, and the little resentments start,
Mm.
and then they start accumulating. So person A says something to person B takes offense to it, but they don't actually talk about it like an adult. So then they start getting snippy with person A. And then this cycle. And it hurts my heart the way people talk to and about each other. This
Yeah.
is this is the love of your life. This is your partner.
People get vicious.
Yes. And it's like, you just no, sorry. And
And
even if it's just, if it sounds like it's in jest, speak to each other with respect and speak about each other with respect. That's one thing that I am, you know, like my ex and I, we never, if we had an issue with each other, we would talk about it at home. We never brought it in around other people. And that wasn't because we were trying to make our relationship look like it was perfect. It was just out of respect for each other.
yeah.
um, because things change, right? Relationships change. They're very, very fluid.
No, that's fine. And I don't. I wouldn't recommend anybody airing out their dirty laundry in front of people
No,
because it's no one's business. That's first and foremost. It's no one's business.
exactly. And when
And
you,
then on top of that, once you cross that threshold, it's kind of like hard to come back by because it's a sign of disrespect on
yeah,
both parties.
100%, 100%. And the more, and you don't talk about your relationship with anyone else. It's like so often, it's like, oh, that man or oh, that woman, and blah, 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 blah to their friends, whether they're close friends or not, sometimes. And it's and then you get their opinions, so you get other people in your head
Yeah.
instead of just working it out with your spouse, which is the way it really needs to be done.
Yeah.
And if you need a third party, such as somebody like myself, then that's different. You go and you do something productive with someone who knows how to help, as opposed to just a bitch session with your friends.
And do you find that it's hard for people to actually like not confront, but like talk to their partners about like what's upsetting them
Mhm.
or like the lack of satisfaction?
Yep. Yep. 100%. And that's where a lot of relationships start going south, is because they're not opening up and they're not talking to each other. It takes, so intimacy, like there's physical intimacy and then there's relational intimacy.
Yeah.
And the physical part, that's easier. I mean, it's not just sex. It's more than that. But when it comes to true intimacy between couples, um, that means opening up and being vulnerable and allowing the other person to see a very raw side of them and to open up and say, hey, you know what? I love you, but I really, it hurts me when you disrespect me.
Yeah.
And that's hard for people to do. And then a lot of the times what happens, I I have a confession to make. I kind of um, I'm in a couple of groups that are, follow a couple of pages that are men's coaching groups, because I
Yeah.
want to understand men better. I have a pretty good understanding of women, but I want to understand what men are going through and how they're feeling so that I can help them as well.
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes I just want to cry because the way some of these guys, there's the ones who just seem defeated because their wife is just, she's nasty, because every time he tries to talk, she takes offense. Now it can go the other way too.
Yeah,
You
of
know, we're
course.
talking human beings, right? Um, and then there's the other ones, male or female, who, oh, they're kind of nasty towards the whole other, you know, the whole
Side.
other gender or sex, because they've painted everyone with the same brush as their experience. So my thought is always, wow, somebody did a number on you.
Yeah. I do see that all right, and this is just talking from like the male perspective. And this
Mm-hmm.
is something that I've I've never really addressed on air, but I guess I'll address it at this point. I don't understand when men, you know, kind of like hate women. I really don't understand that. I personally I don't. I come from a large family
Yeah.
and I have a lot of female relatives. You know what I mean? So I've seen the worst of the worst and the best of the best. I've seen the whole spectrum,
Yep.
but I never understood that. And I was always, when I throughout my teenage and adulthood life, I've always been a little heavy set. I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on it, but I've always been heavy set, and I've gotten rejected plenty of times. Like rejection is part of life,
Exactly.
and I've never understood why some men feel that rejection even more than others, like
Mm.
and resent an entirety a whole half of a species and not remembering that, you feel me, and the way they talk about it too is like, you don't have sisters, you don't have a mother, like what's going on with you, bro? I understand that you might feel a certain type of way towards one person because you probably really
Yep.
were really attracted to that person, and then they rejected you. Okay, cool. Like, for dating for men and dating for women are two totally separate games,
Oh yeah.
where you feel me. And it sucks saying it because I really hate saying this, but women have more of a chance to choose who they want,
Mm-hmm.
where men have to, like, kind of, depending on your appearance, status, whatever the case may be. You could only choose from so many, or pursue someone that's on your level, or whatever the case may be. Even though I really don't think like that. I feel like if you find somebody attractive and you have the right vibe, it doesn't matter what a person looks like, or what their status is. But I see the dating game as that. So, like, with guys out to and roomies, guys, if you get rejected, pick yourself back up. You'll be all right. Go on to the next one. You'll be cool. And you never know. You probably dodged the bullet.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's if someone is that superficial, that they're not willing to look beyond some of the trappings,
Yeah.
then yeah, bye bye. It's just okay. So I'm going to ask a question.
I got an answer.
What is it with guys and ghosting?
It depends. What part do they ghost? Like, specifically at what point? What happened? Put the scenario on me, and I can let you know.
Okay. So one of the scenarios, I met this guy. We went out, we went for a walk. We got along amazing. He just seemed like a phenomenal guy. We talked about getting together. Didn't hear from him for a few days, so I texted him, "Hey, how's it going?" Just real casual. We set up another meet for the next weekend, and then I never heard from him again.
Mm.
And it's like we seem to have such a great vibe. And now he was somewhat younger than me. Um, but it was like, and I'm kind of like, okay. It was not the only time. Like it's happened a number of times, mostly just at the talking stage.
Yeah.
And now, considering the site that I was on, I'm not that surprised. But um, and I finally just, it's like I had
Wait,
been
wait.
very,
Quick question.
yes.
And I don't wanna air you out. Was this site one of those more of a hookup site or more of a relationship type of site?
It was everything.
Okay.
Um, it was, you could kind of classify what type of, what kind of a vibe you were looking for.
Yeah.
So whether you were looking for just a hookup or possible relationship or friends or whatever. And I'm a pretty open book, sometimes too open. Um, and it was a really, interesting time in my life.
Yeah.
I had been married for a long time, had been involved with someone for a long time, ended both of those relationships, was seeing someone else. Ha! We were supposed to be going to Costa Rica.
Mm.
Everything was going along just great. And then all of a sudden he disappeared. One day he tells me he has the tickets, and then I never heard from him again. And I'm like,
Mm.
seriously? So then I just kind of went, you know what? I'm done for now. I
Yeah. For
wasn't
now.
swearing off men completely because I'm not like that.
What
But I,
was he like? Do you know if he was involved with anybody else or?
he was the story I got from him, and now I don't believe a word he says about anything. Um, is he was getting out of a relationship? Like,
That
okay.
mean, oh, so that means that he probably got back with who he was messing with. Yeah.
Well, he reached out to me several months later, and he said that he had been in jail.
Oh, he probably was in jail.
And I'm like, all right, fine. But by then I was like, I was done. I was
Yeah, yeah,
completely
yeah.
done. I was,
Yeah, yeah. You don't need that
no,
drama in your life.
no. So I reconnected with an old friend of mine who we had never been romantically involved,
Yeah.
but we reconnected at my 60th birthday dinner.
Hey, and you got your
And
candles blown out. Mm-hmm.
mhm. And we've talked almost every single day since.
Look at
And
that.
it's like, I mean, so here's the thing. We both have insane schedules.
Yeah.
And we live close to an hour apart. My schedule's a little bit more flexible than his, but it's like, and that's okay. It works for us.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, you got to find what works for you guys. Like every individual couple needs to find what works for them. Because I listen to a lot of like relationship coaches and this and that, and they're saying, how many times a week you should have sex, how you should do this, you should do that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I take a different attitude. I take the attitude of, look, you've got to work with what works for both of you.
Yeah.
And you've got to figure out between the two of you what works. Never mind what anybody else is saying, never mind what anybody else is doing. But if you both agree, and that's the key part, is you both have to agree on what you want for intimacy, what kind of stuff you want to do when you're having sex, um, how often, for how long, what what do you want out of it,
Yeah.
and to be able to, and here's the kicker, is to be able to let your partner know that maybe what you're doing isn't 100% satisfying to them,
Yeah.
and maybe they could do something a little different, and maybe you can teach them, but it's all in your approach. If you're kind of taking the attitude of, oh God, you, no, just don't.
No, that would crush somebody.
Uh-uh. You don't do things like that. You can say, hey, I really love it when you do this. Can we maybe do this more often? Or I really like it when things are done like this. And of course, and the other thing too is that as we age, sex changes.
Yeah.
We may not have the flexibility, we may not have the energy, we may not, guys, like, and it depends if you're on medications, if you have any kind of a health issue. And, the spirit might be willing, but sometimes the body isn't. And it's like women can fake things a whole lot easier than men. I mean, if men don't get hard, it's kind of hard to fake that.
That's true.
Um, but here's the thing, like I used to, someone that I was involved with at some point in my life, because I don't want to call anybody out, um, it wasn't a problem of getting hard. It was he couldn't orgasm with me. And man, you want to talk about taking things personally. It's like I couldn't. I'm like, is there something wrong with me? Am I not doing something right? Do you need anything else? And he goes, no, that's just the way I am. And then I did some research and found out that hey, this really is a condition, and he's not the only one.
Yeah, he ain't the only one. He ain't the only
Sometimes
one.
you just sometimes you can't, and it's like sometimes you can't get hard. Sometimes you can't stay hard. Sometimes you just can't come because I find, generally speaking, with men and with women, actually, with everyone, most of it is up in here when you start having any kind of sexual challenges. Most of it is up here.
Yeah. And like, how do you like overcome those challenges? Like, for people, is it more of like an embarrassment thing, or is it more like a self conscious thing? How do people
It's
get out of their head and more
into their
the
body.
into the viñeña?
Yeah. A lot of it is simply practicing being present.
Okay.
Um, I am a firm believer, even though I don't, the traditional yoga type of meditation, I can't do that. I got a little ADHD brain going on happening, and
Yeah.
it's lots of fun. It makes for an interesting life. Um, but I find it really hard to just sit in silence and do nothing. So for me, it's I'll go for a walk in nature. Meditation doesn't mean that you have to sit and think of nothing because that's not how our brains work most of
Yeah.
the time. Um, but just kind of going inward and really just deep breaths. Deep breathing is one of the most amazing things that you can do. It brings your heart rate down. It calms the nervous system and it allows you to just be more present rather than thinking about things. Men get
Yeah.
stressed from work and finances and relationships and the whole bit. And a lot of men, I think the younger men are getting better with this, but kind of my generation, guys didn't talk about their feelings.
Yeah.
They're starting to, and they're starting to understand that it's okay to talk about how you feel about things if you're stressed. Now, I will admit I'm very transparent about a lot of things. Um, my when I was married, my husband was going through some stuff, and I wasn't very supportive.
I
I
get that.
didn't I didn't know enough. I was not in a position at that point where I could just shut up, listen, and be supportive. And I feel bad about that because I'm in a position to do that now. And, I've learned to keep my mouth shut. I've learned to just be supportive and to allow the man to speak with no judgment.
Yeah.
It's like if a guy is struggling, women have got to stop with, we're so programmed. Like we're programmed through family telling us what to do,
Yeah.
with the media telling us what to do, with friends telling us their experiences. And sometimes we just have to stop and do a gut check and really get in touch with your intuition. If you're quiet, you can hear what your gut is telling you.
Yeah. No, it's true.
And it's a little bit of trial and error because it's not always right. but and sometimes we misinterpret, but it's just allowing things to happen and to just being present.
And do you find that like a lot of the people that come to you for hope, like that's their main issue, or like just being in the moment and enjoying themselves and their partner?
Well, it's hard to be in the moment
Yeah,
without other things going on in your head. I mean, there's a lot going on in life, and especially if you've got kids, but even if you don't, I mean, there's still all these different aspects to your world. And it's, women tend to, we think a lot.
yeah,
Um, and we're always kind of got to do this and do this, do this and do that and blah blah, and coordinate this and coordinate that, and the brain is just going and going and going and going. And the older we get, the worse it gets because our estrogen lowers, drops, and it has an effect on stress and the whole bit.
yeah,
Men men feel things differently, um, and I think it's more. And I could be wrong,
yeah,
but I fully believe that it is more. They feel responsible. They feel it's like if something's going wrong, they're because men, at the heart of things, men are the leaders, they're the protectors, they're the providers. And I know this is a very old fashioned way of thinking, but it's not old fashioned. It's just this is the way that we're programmed through
no,
evolution.
it's true. Like at the end of the day, even though people say whatever they want to say, at the end of the day, they always want their father, their husband, their brother, their cousin, to step up to the plate and play that role.
Yep.
And it could be, and the thing about that is that there's very little there. I don't want to say little reward. Like verbally, there's little reward.
Yeah.
But when you step back and you look at the picture, that's the greatest reward that we have, that our child went to this college and I made that happen. Or, my wife is happy because, we finally got the shed in the back that she been telling me to build for the last 2 months. Things of that nature, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
I feel that men get more joy from acts of service than anything else, and making sure that their family and whoever they're kind of protecting or responsible for is good to
Yep.
go.
Yep. And I mean, women can still be, I have I have to laugh.
But don't get me wrong, there's
Yeah.
some men out there that are just assholes.
Oh, completely.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
They just mm-mm. And
yeah,
I'm like, yeah, bye bye. Um, the guy that I'm seeing, he made me laugh because he's like, um, we went out and we were getting back into the truck.
yeah,
Well, he went over to his side and just hops in the truck, and I'm like, and you didn't even open the door for me. And he goes, what? He says, you're a strong, independent woman. I'm like, yeah, but I still like to be treated like a lady.
yeah,
I love chivalrous men.
yeah. Chivalry ain't dead. It's just hiding right now.
Well, I mean, and I don't blame men because so many women, like so many guys have encountered this challenge with women where something as simple as opening a door for them. I don't know how many men that I've talked to who have said that they I can open my own damn door. And it's like, but, but, but why? Like, that wasn't necessary. Simple thank you. They're being courteous. They're not being, oh, you're the little woman.
I don't get it. I truly don't get it. Like I'm all for equality. I
Yep,
really am. Like I
yep,
said, big family, a lot of women in my family. So I've seen everything, with them.
yep.
And I truly believe in equality, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that a woman shouldn't be treated like a lady and a man shouldn't be a gentleman.
Right.
At the end of the day, those rules are there for a reason.
Hmm.
I don't want to, damn, yet again, don't want to fall into that trap of the whole gender role thing. But at
Yep.
the end of the day, even though we say we don't want it, everybody really does want it. Like
Yeah.
men want to be gentlemen, women want to be treated as ladies. They want to,
Yep.
So I don't get the I don't understand the contradiction. I
I
try to put my finger on it,
Yep.
and I try to see like both sides of the field. Like I understand that women, when they travel alone, when they're by themselves, it could be a scary place, especially if you're like surrounded by big old guys. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I completely understand, but not every guy is trying to like do some harm to you. You know what I mean? There's
Exactly.
a very low percentage that do, but I'm just trying to make it a work today. I'm not, you're not even on my like radar kind of thing. I'm not even thinking about anything of that nature.
Yep. No, and it's funny because at the gym that I go to, we have double doors. So a lot of guys will open the first door for me. And I always say, whenever a guy opens the door, holds the door open for me, I always say, well, thank you, kind sir,
Yeah,
because I want to encourage them to do this. But then when I get to the second door, I'll hold the door open for the guy.
yeah.
It's just courtesy, and I don't understand why. Anyway, it's just one of those things. But it's one of my little bugaboos. But
Nah, but I get it. Though. Yeah, I get it.
yeah,
But, but
do you
yeah,
have
man.
any other questions for me?
Of course, of course. So let's get into some of the nitty gritty, right?
Okay.
So, like, what advice do you have to improve sex life?
Mhm.
Better romance and chemistry in the bedroom.
Foreplay,
Mm. And how important
oral,
is foreplay?
oral, 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 oral.
Roomies eat that box.
Uh huh. And guys, make sure that you are uh, keeping yourself clean and trimmed, because as a woman, I can tell you that a lot of women don't particularly enjoy giving oral to men because a lot of guys don't take their hygiene is questionable.
What she's trying to say, roomies, is make sure you smell good and don't have any dick cheese.
It was funny. I've actually stumbled across and I don't know why he makes a point of saying this, but he's a urologist. Let's
Yeah,
just put it to you that way. And he deals with a lot of sexual health issues.
yeah,
So I came across this video today and it was like, guys, wash your dick,
yeah.
and told them how to wash it and make sure that it is dry, and pull back this foreskin if you have to, and then put it back after when it's dry. And it's like, and keep the hair around it trimmed, because, and I mean, this is just for good hygiene for men.
Yeah.
And if a guy isn't smelly and tastes kind of, because there's definitely a taste, then women might be a little bit more willing. And don't, oh my God, okay, don't do this. Don't shove your, oh, don't jam her head down. It's like, that is one of the biggest turnoffs.
Let her
If
do a
she
thing,
wants to,
roomies.
if she wants to go deep, let her go deep. And it's okay to hold, just don't do that. Because that is like, that is probably one of the top turnoffs and top reasons why women don't like doing it, besides taste and smell. It's
Nah, I get
just,
that.
and if you want it, you'd better do it. It's like, it goes both ways,
No, no, you're absolutely correct on that.
right?
Absolutely
And
correct.
and the same thing for women too, is because like women need to make sure that things are trimmed. Some guys really like a lot of bush, and that I don't understand it, but I personal preferences.
We
Um,
like to believe it's the 70s again.
yeah, yeah. I lived through it. So, yeah. Anyway, I was young, but I lived through it. But at least keep it trimmed and keep it washed. Keep it, and it can get a little challenging because I am not a small woman by any stretch. And it's like if you're not having a shower every day and make sure that you're cleaning yourself well. So kind of the same kind of instructions for women as well as men. It's like now do not use soap, ladies. No soap. Just water is sufficient. Um, but make sure it's dry. Make sure you air out. And if you have to wear anything to bed, wear a nightie.
There you go.
Don't wear anything that's constricting because number one, it's just not good for your health.
It's not good for the Virginia. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
No, but the key thing here is like when you are, being hygienic about yourself,
Mhm.
especially with sexual health, you got to make sure things are dry before they get wet. If
Yes.
you guys
Yes.
get my drift there, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You got to make sure things are dry because moisture is what makes bacteria grow.
Exactly.
And,
Yep.
the last thing you want to do is when you're on a date, you don't want to pull out and
Yeah.
then you got smegma everywhere.
Yeah.
Or, ladies, you're on a date and, you finally gonna ride this cowboy and you smelling like you just came out of a sushi bar. We don't want that. We don't want that out here. But
No. No. Smell is a big deterrent
yeah,
for a lot of guys. It's like if the vajayjay is not to that's not to suggest putting perfume on either party,
yeah, no, don't do that.
and you should not be using heavily scented fragrances, guys. Like, don't spray anything around your genitals. It's like keep it clean, keep it as natural as possible, because that is the best. I was with a guy. Oh God, I remember I was with a guy one time, and he had, I don't know what heck he dosed himself with, but number one, I mean, it smelled nice, but the taste was just like, and it's just not healthy for you. All these
Mhm.
fragrances and stuff are not good for you. They're endocrine disruptors, which means it's going to mess up your hormones, which can cause problems with abilities or desire for sex. And it's like, you don't want to do that. So just keep it natural.
All right. Cool. And when we're talking about hormones, right? Because I know that for men, our testosterone starts to drop around the age of 35 to 40, right?
Usually earlier than that, but yes.
What can guys do to like make sure that they kind of like keep their testosterone up and are able to perform?
Hit the gym.
Mm. There you go,
Hit
guys.
the gym. Lift weights. Lift heavy weights. I mean, if you've never done it, you need to work up to it. But that is one of the biggest things that you can do for testosterone.
Mhm.
Now, a couple of other things is men actually can have too much estrogen in their system,
Yeah.
and that comes from a lot of dryer sheets are terrible for it. Tap water is terrible for it. There's all kinds of endocrine disruptors in like chemicals and stuff in the system. Any of your lotions, potions, et cetera, et cetera. That's why I say keep it simple, keep it clean, keep it natural, because otherwise you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot, and making things worse.
Mm.
There are, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but part of it's your diet. So you want to eat as clean as possible, not too much alcohol. I'm not going to tell you not to drink,
Yeah.
but just watch your alcohol consumption.
Yeah.
We have,
Moderation, guys.
hmm?
No, I was talking to the audience.
Oh,
Make sure you do drink in moderation. Don't drink
yes.
every day. Don't be an alky.
And that's for everyone. That's just
Yeah.
good health. It's like, because alcohol can wreak havoc on so many systems, but your stress management, it seems like it's helping, but it really isn't. And it can really mess with women's hormones, especially. Um, and what else was I going to say? There was something else I was going to say, and I can't remember. I'm sorry. I'm having
You're
another
good.
senior moment.
You're good. You're good.
The brain, it's an adventure being in my head.
No,
You
I
know.
get it. I get it, man. But
Uh,
Sandy, it's been a pleasure. And before we actually head out, I always ask all my guests this: do you have any final thoughts, words of wisdom, or a message to the roomies?
um, don't be afraid to work on yourself first, and then your relationship. Because if you don't get yourself straight and in a in a good place, sorry, um, then your relationship is still going to suffer.
That's a big fact.
Be respectful to each other, and don't forget to say, "Hey, I love this," or "Hey, would you mind doing this instead?" Communication. It's not the only thing, but it sure is a big thing.
It is.
And don't take it as criticism,
Mark?
right? Don't take it as a diss against you if somebody asks you to change up the way you're doing something.
Yeah. You gotta get the motion of the ocean right.
Exactly.
Feel me?
Exactly.
And with that, roomies, remember, and I think this is most appropriate to say this: don't pull out. Peace.